When was the moment you realized you were being used? I had known Michelle since childhood. She was always a bit snobbish and was desperate to be part of the in crowd in high school, but they wanted little to do with her, put off by her superior attitude. I never realized that she only hung out with me because she didn't have anything else to do until after high school. We would make plans to hang out together, but if something better came along, she would ditch me. It was like everyone could see that she was a bad friend except for me. She changed even further when she met a nice guy and decided to settle down with him. Everything revolved around her fiancé. Maybe because she had never had a real boyfriend before. I don't know. All I knew was that she stopped texting me to hang out, and when I texted her, she was always busy. I was invited to the wedding and I went solo as I did not have a date at the time. The bridal side of the wedding party consisted of her sister and her two gay guy friends. One of those friends later told me that they were only in the wedding party because she wanted to make a statement. I had a good time chatting with her family and intended to leave the wedding at about 11 p.m. to go back to my hotel room. Michelle came up to me at 10:30 and asked if I would drive her and her new husband to their lodging for the night. I'm the kind of person who would never leave a friend high and dry, so I agreed to drive her and her husband to wherever they needed to go. I went out to my car and made sure there was room for extra passengers. Then I went back inside to wait for them. 12:30 a.m. passed. Then 1 a.m. The two gay guys drove back to the hotel and texted me to tell me to drive safe as it had gotten foggy. 2 a.m. came, and at this time, most of the guests had left. 3 a.m. I'm assisting in the cleanup. Meanwhile, Michelle and her siblings are drunkenly singing along to Michelle's iPod. She had been too cheap to get a DJ. As I helped her dad take out the garbage, he looks at me with pity in his eyes and he tells me, "You're a good friend, Ashley." At 4 a.m., the bride and groom are finally ready to call it a night. I drove them to their lodging, about a half hour out of my way, and then went back to my hotel. Michelle didn't contact me again for months, and any texts I sent her were either ignored or rejected. A few months after I started dating my now husband, we went to visit a different friend and she was there too. She was very rude to my boyfriend. We all knew each other in high school and she scorned him because he was a geek back then. He wasn't popular. After that, we had little contact and she never offered a congratulations when I got engaged. I would have thought that she would have liked the way he proposed, as he used a Harry Potter wand, and both Michelle and I had been huge fans of the series. But she said nothing. I saw her once in the springtime, before I sent out my invitations. She was helping her grandmother clean up her yard as I was driving by with my fiancé. I pulled over. I had a nice chat with her grandmother, but Michelle wouldn't look me in the eye and shut down any conversation I attempted to have with her. Finally, my fiancé urged me to go, so we continued driving to my parents' place. As we are there, my fiancé tells my mom about the exchange. She was trying her heart out to talk to Michelle and that bitch just ignored her. My mom agreed that she had always disliked Michelle for the way she always treated me. I was slowly opening my eyes to who Michelle really was. I debated even inviting her to my wedding. I decided to be the bigger person and put the invite in the mail. The next day, my maid of honor, who also knew Michelle since childhood, asked if I was inviting Michelle. Apparently Michelle told her that even if she wasn't invited, she would crash my wedding. I said that I sent her an invite, so that dashed her plans of making a scene. Michelle texted me and told me she would be coming to the wedding. I also invited Michelle's parents to my wedding, and about 2 months before my wedding, her mom said, "Thank you, but we are going to be away that weekend. We have to go clean up Michelle's grandpa's old cabin. It's been 11 years since he passed, and my brother and I have finally made plans to do it now. I will send my card with Michelle. Have a great day and congratulations." 5 days before the wedding, we are getting the final numbers for the caterer. I texted Michelle to confirm that she and her husband were still intending on coming, as I didn't have an official RSVP. She texted me back, "That was the plan. However, last-minute plans were made to go through some of my grandpa's things, which I should really be part of. I meant to text you earlier than today." Reading that text brought back every single excuse she had ever given me when she had something better come along whenever we had made plans to hang out or do something. I knew very well that the plans to go sort through her grandpa's things were not last minute. I knew very well that had I not texted her, she would not have texted me and would have just been a no-show, and I would have had to pay for the uneaten food. I finally realized that she was not a friend to me. She would use me unless something better came along. Suddenly her father's pity for me after Michelle's wedding made sense. He knew that she was using me and I was too naive to see it. He knew that she regarded me as a last resort, someone who would always help her out unquestioningly, but was not worthy of her time. I texted back, "Do what you've got to do. I get it." And I finally did. I finally knew what kind of person she was. It was the last thing I ever texted or said to her. That was 3 years ago. In that time, I've gone on to have a sweet baby boy. She got divorced because she was cheating on her husband. I guess something better came along there too. What's a rule your employer implemented that backfired terribly? What did the weird kid in your school do that you'll never forget? This was at university, which makes this even weirder. I studied geology, so we went on a lot of field trips. One time we went to Spain and I noticed this rather strange girl had a tally chart in the back of her notebook. Now, this girl was odd. She wore all black clothes that were clearly not washed very well. She had bright ginger hair and would wear huge spiky plastic jewelry that was usually bright orange. Like big spiky plastic necklaces or bracelets. She would pick her nose aggressively in class, kind of girl. Anyway, I asked some of the other girls if they knew what the tally in her notebook was about, and they said that she was counting the amount of time she had successfully taken a piss while standing up. I don't know about you, but I found this fascinating. I started casually following her one day on our field trip in Spain, and sure enough, she would find somewhere she thought was discreet. It wasn't discreet, I saw everything. She would take her pants fully off, then take a mean piss standing up, the whole time with a demonic smile on her face. Crap was scary. Then she puts her pants back on, gets out her notebook to add another tally mark, then saunters off into the Spanish wilderness to do more geology. It was almost as disgusting as it was mesmerizing. So, one day we had a day off to relax and do what we wanted, so everyone agreed we would go to Madrid for the day, so we all get on a big coach and set off. The drive is like 2 hours. 30 minutes in, she starts mumbling to herself about needing the toilet, everyone around her going quiet as she becomes more agitated. Eventually she jumped up and waddled down the aisle to ask the driver to stop. After a bit of arguing and Spanish shouting from the driver, we pull over. The bus doors open, she walks back up the aisle and gets off using the door halfway down the bus. She takes 3 steps away from the door and starts digging a hole like an effing badger in heat. Now at this point I think deep down I knew what was about to happen. She's about to take a massive piss right here in front of everyone as the ultimate win/fu to her classmates she clearly hated, but boy I was wrong. She finished digging her hole. It was quite impressive given how dry the ground was. She turned herself away from the bus, dropped her trousers and took a squat over the hole. What is this? I thought. Maybe she's too shy for a stand-up piss. Nope. Out comes the most horrific crap from her pasty white butthole. Like gallons of it. I've never seen so much. The hole she dug, whilst impressive, was not sufficient for the brown mass that spewed forth. She finished, wiped her butt with a small piece of tissue she had in her pocket and got back on the bus, with the same maniacal grin I saw her have with a wild piss. Everyone was silent, our professors just staring at each other, clearly thinking what the F just happened. Jim. Did that girl seriously just unleash a turd tsunami in front of 40 people? The rest of the journey was just silence. I think we were all in shock. We get to Madrid and everyone slowly gets off the bus. A crap girl starts saying again that she needs the toilet and everyone turns to look at her. Her bright orange trousers are soaking wet, like she'd been swimming. One of the other students said, "Jesus Christ, what the hell happened?" And casually as anything, she turns to him and says the bus ride was too long. I pissed myself a few times, at this point I'm losing my mind. What the F, lady? You stopped the bus so you could decimate the landscape? You couldn't have pissed then? You might as well have. I mean, everyone saw your massive dump. I don't think a quick piss would have bothered anyone. Seriously. Anyway, 2 girls took pity and carted her off to a public toilet. The rest of us went to a few museums and had a great day, but it was hard to enjoy, to be quite honest. Madrid's Natural History Museum didn't have the same jovial atmosphere after watching a grown woman crap and piss herself. Bartenders,
what is your hottest and most random sexual encounter? Something you still think about today? While working at a school, I had multiple students mention that their mothers thought I was cute. My reply was always that those comments were inappropriate, and they should not be saying that to me. One of those mothers was one that I myself had always found attractive, and we would always exchange hellos. After visiting a restaurant that she worked at, she slipped me her cell number, and we began texting and flirting. A few weeks later we began meeting up at her apartment. When her children spent the week at her ex's house, she would invite me over on my lunch break, and would be waiting for me naked on her knees. At nights she would bust out her boxes of toys, cuffs, restraints, oil/lube, dice, plugs, and we would have the wildest sex I've ever experienced. She would let me try anything and everything with her, and always made sure I was pleased. We knew that the relationship we were developing would not last, due to the age gap and life circumstances, so we had to cut it off after about 6 months. Every time I see her or her kids, I miss and wish that things were different, but those memories of our time together will always be unforgettable. What was the age gap? 10 years, I argued, but she didn't think it would work. I'm 35 and my GF is 16 years my senior. We've been together almost 2 years and we have an awesome time. 10 years is nothing, unless one really cares about the social stigma of it.